Hi, I'm Vicky, thank you for watching. So I was having a conversation with my friend the other day about eyeshadow techniques, and depending on where you place your eyeshadow it can affect the size and the shape of your eye. And I was trying out all these different techniques and I was sending her pictures, and I said to her that I feel like I need a neutral eyeshadow palette that I can practice with and achieve all these different looks. I feel like I've got a lot of eyeshadows anyway. I've probably got enough to create my own neutral eyeshadow palette, and we both thought that is a great idea for a video. Now I think some other people on YouTube have done these anyway. I will have a search and link them in the description box, but that is what I want this video to be about. So I looked through all the eyeshadows that I own, I did loads of different swatches, and I've actually come up with my ideal neutral eyeshadow palette. So I'm going to go and show you those shades and show you what my ideal neutral eyeshadow palette looks like with shades that I already own. So when I was doing my swatches, a lot of the shadows that I was really interested in came from this Revolution Soph palette. This is a lovely eyeshadow palette. Now I still have the plastic insert with all of the shade names on it because I like to include things like that so I know what the names of these shades are. So as you can see, there are lots of warm toned shades in this palette. Lots of browns, golds, coppers, oranges. This is a beautiful palette. This is probably my favourite eyeshadow palette that I own. I can open this and there are so many ideas, so many looks that I know I want to create. I absolutely love this palette. So there are two shades in here that I want to include in my eyeshadow palette. It is this one here. This is called Pancakes and it's a nice ivory shade. So it's not showing up too well on camera. Like I say, a nice ivory shade, very well named, Pancakes. It is like the colour of a pancake batter. The next shade that I want to include is called Fairy Lights. So a shimmery ivory kind of colour. So this will be the highlighting colour. This will be under the brow bone, in the corners of the eyes, or if I want a really simple look, this could just be all over the lid for a nice shimmery look. My next palette is another Revolution palette, and this is the Diamonds and Pearls palette. Beautiful packaging. I mean, look at that. That's just so beautiful. So as you can see on the bottom left, there is a pan removed, and that was a bright gold shimmery colour, and that just immediately made my eyes stream, so I got rid of that. Didn't want to keep that, forget about it, and then use it again and have the same reaction. So this again is a really nice neutral eyeshadow palette, but there's another shimmer shade here that I want to include. And this is more rose gold. So again, this would be lovely all over the lid, but with some other colours that I'm going to show you, this is going to work so well. And the pigmentation of that is just beautiful. Now the next colour comes from my MAC customised palette, and there are a lot of shades in here that I thought could really work. But in a good neutral eyeshadow palette, what you need is a good mid-tone brown. A matte brown, it's fairly neutral in colour, so it's going to work with a lot of looks. It can go in your crease, it can maybe go in your eyebrows as well. And that is the one on the far right on the second row, and that is called Charcoal Brown. So a good mid-tone brown, that is going to work with any other shades that I choose to include. Next one is a shade that is definitely warm. This is High Pigment Eyeshadow in the shade 18 by Kiko. This is a lovely gold shade. This one is going to be great for those more autumnal looks. Again, really pigmented, full of colour, beautiful, beautiful shade. That is really orangey gold, copper. That looks lovely with charcoal brown. Now next I have one of these lookbooks from Laura Geller. These were limited edition and I got the set of 5. And these are absolutely brilliant. I love these little palettes. They are great for travel. They are great for making sure that you've got your blush, highlight and eyeshadow looks all in one. And this is the Sunday Fun Day one, and this is very much the warm golden brown palette. Yes, I did break the mirror. I leant on it and the mirror broke. So 4 eyeshadows here, a blush that's going to match them and a nice golden highlight as well. And the shade I want to include is the top left one called Rich Umber. So again, this is a brown shade, but this is much more golden, more orange, more terracotta in shade. So very sort of earthy, that shade. That goes quite well with Charcoal Brown, with Kiko 18. Really warm looks that I can create with that shade there. So we're going back again now to the Soap Revolution palette that I started off with, and there were just so many shades in here that I wanted to include. But I wanted another shimmer shade, but I wanted something a little bit darker, a little more brown. And on the second row, the third one in from the left, that is called Smoky Bronze, and that's the shade that I'm going to include. So a nice bronze brown shade, absolutely lovely, nice for those darker smoky looks. So I'm getting darker now in colours, and this is another Soap Revolution palette. This is her second one. Now I do prefer the first palette because I just prefer the shades that are in there. I can open that palette and know what looks I want to create. I have to think a little bit harder with this palette. But again, there are some nice warm toned browns and golds in here. So the one that I'm going to include is the bottom left corner one called Brownies. So it is darker than MAC Charcoal Brown. So Charcoal Brown by MAC could be more in the crease, whereas Brownies by Soap here on the far left can be used to darken up the eye, so to create a nice smoky eye. This can be used as eyeliner as well. So this is one of my Estee Lauder palettes that I don't really reach for that often, but this is actually a really lovely selection of shades. So you have, or you did have 9 eyeshadows, but I got rid of 2 because they just didn't show up on me. There's also a blush there as well. But the shade I want to include, it doesn't have a name, but it's just Nude Eyeshadow number 8. So it's that second one in from the far right. So again, a brown shade, but this has got a little bit of a shimmer in it. And this is a bit more neutral than some of the other browns I've included in my palette. So this is a really good versatile shade. So I do have a few browns there, but you can sort of see the differences between them. So I've got mattes, I've got shimmers, and they're getting darker as well. And the last shade that I want to include comes from another Laura Geller eyeshadow and cheek palette. This is the Thursday one, so TGI Thursday. Now I was never a huge fan of black eyeshadows in eyeshadow palettes. I never reached for them, I never used them. To me they just took up a space that another shadow could have had in that palette. But actually recently I've actually come to quite like having a black eyeshadow. But I want to include the black from this palette, and this is called Little Black Dress, and this is just a pure jet black shade. So a pure black eyeshadow, that's going to be my liner, and I can mix that in with some of the browns there as well for a dark brown eyeliner. So that is my ideal neutral eyeshadow. So we're down here with the lightest shade, that kind of ivory pancake shade, actually called Pancakes by Soap. Fairy Lights, a real glittery, shimmery ivory, again a little bit pink toned. This is the shade from Diamonds and Pearls, the other Revolution eyeshadow palette, again quite rose goldy. This is absolutely beautiful, and I wanted to add a mixture of shimmers and mattes in the palette and a range of colours of those shimmers and mattes as well. And this one is just a real standout to me. This one, Charcoal Brown, this one is probably the least exciting one, but probably the most important one and the most versatile. So this is one that can be worn just as an eyeliner with pancakes perhaps, or in the crease, or also double up as an eyebrow shade as well, depending on how dark your eyebrows are. This one, Kiko 18, so this is your real warm orangey copper shimmery shade, absolutely beautiful, love that. And that works really well with Rich Umber from the Laura Geller palette. Here we've got Smoky Bronze from the Soap palette again, so a shimmery, warm, bronze brown colour. These two are quite similar, but this one is Brownies, and this is more of a neutral brown from the other Soap palette. And then this one is a warmer brown, similar level of colour to Brownies, but this one here from the Estee Lauder palette has a little bit of shimmer, just a little bit. I don't know if it's really picking up on camera too well, but in person there is a bit of shimmer there. And then Little Black Dress, that black eyeshadow from the other Laura Geller palette there, so works really well as a liner, or mix it in with any of these browns to make a dark brown eyeliner. So that is my neutral eyeshadow palette. I really, really like the colours that I've chosen there. There's a good selection of shimmers and mattes from lights through to darks. But as you can see, it's all very warm. And that's probably because I have a neutral to warm undertone, so I'm probably drawn to shades like that because I know that they're just going to work for me. So the only downside to this is that these shades came from 8 different palettes. So ideally this would all be in one palette where I could just grab in the morning and know that all my eyeshadow looks for a neutral eye look are going to come from that one palette instead of digging out these 8 different eyeshadow palettes. But good to know that I have a variety of different neutral warm eyeshadow looks. And I've got lots more eyeshadows than this anyway. When I was thinking of what to include in this video, I had so many options. So I definitely have a lot of neutral warm eyeshadows that are similar to the shades that you can see here. So that was my ideal neutral eyeshadow palette. It just goes to show that I do have lots of neutral eyeshadows, and although I am on a no-buy for this year, once I'm off my no-buy, I definitely don't need to buy any neutral warm eyeshadow palettes. I have got enough beiges, golds, oranges, browns, all of those neutral to warm tone shades. I don't need to buy an eyeshadow palette. So, and I think I need to remember that once I come off my no-buy. I need to go back and watch this little section and remind myself that I said that. However, a cool toned neutral eyeshadow palette I think would be very nice. When I was swatching all my different eyeshadows, I realised that I don't actually have many cool toned eyeshadows of those colours, and I'm thinking that maybe ABH Sultry palette might be a nice option. But it's mid-Feb, I have 10.5 months left to go on my no-buy, and that gives me plenty of time to really sort of think whether I do need to have a neutral cool eyeshadow palette or whether the colours I've got are enough. But definitely I have enough neutral warm eyeshadow colours. So if you did like this video, I would love it if you could give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe. It would be lovely to have you here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you. Bye.